Hi, I'm Kassi Cruz. Welcome to The Point. What we're going to be talking about today is sex. And we're live, so if you want to call us, the phone numbers I'm sure is down on the screen, and we'll, get your phone calls going. And we're really talking about sex. What I think is the major driving force of humanity. I think every action and everything we do and every motivation comes from the most powerful force, which is our sex drive. I believe that that's the reason why we propagate, because that is the one strong thing that keeps us propagating as a species, to keep us alive as a human race. So we're going to open up the floor. Dan Cruz, Vivian Callahan, Rico, Cymone. They're all with me today, and we're going to start talking about sex. It could mean a lot of different things to a lot of different people, and we can talk about it in any regard. So I open up the floor. Who wants to start first?
Well, I'm curious. Do you guys agree with her premise, her basic premise, that sex is the motivating force behind every action? Do you agree with that? Well, that's obviously your hesitation is obviously a no. You accept that there are exceptions.
Yeah, there's exceptions.
Yeah.
There's exceptions.
Yeah. I mean, I agree that
I haven't found none, but there's exceptions. I ain't looking for none either, you know what I'm saying? If you want to propagate, come on and call. I'm ready to propagate this evening, right now. You got to put the number back up there.
This is going
Are you crazy? Did this become a dating game kind of thing now?
He asked me what my opinion was. I like to propagate.
I asked you your opinion. You said call in because you're looking for something.
I'm ready to spank that ass right now. Know what I'm saying?
Well, I think
do you think I might be right?
well, I think outside of survival and looking for shelter, yes, I think that sex is a very motivating thing, and the drive to find an attractive partner and somebody who can propagate is very primal. I think that people's inclinations to go for people who are really, really good looking, and it's to further the species. It's to make good babies. So in that way, yeah, it's very primal. It's very basic.
Do you think that it's a major, do you think it's a major driving force for most of the actions that human beings take?
No, you just qualified your earlier statement.
Okay, I'll say all. I'll say all because it's a...
She's going back.
Give her a pair of boots. Give her a pair of boots. She just stepped in it, baby.
Okay, I'll stand by my first statement then. If you're going to make me. But I'm a woman. I have the right to change my mind.
Oh, there we go. We've taken a turn here.
This show just took a downhill slope.
No, but
there is no discussion, there's no argument that sex is a major motivating force.
Yes.
In society and throughout human history, because it is necessary for the survival of the species. That's why it's so important. So is eating.
Okay, but let me
finish my point.
Right.
But it's not. It doesn't. In immaturity, it is everything.
Okay.
In maturity, it becomes less important.
Well, because really, yes, that's correct, but in a human lifespan, really, in immaturity is when you're the most potent, and when most people...
About to 40 is immaturity. About to 40 is immaturity.
To the age of 40.
From 13 to 40...
And some people never get beyond that.
But let's talk between 13 and 40. That is when you're most sexually active and that your drive is at its height. Especially when I was 13, I got to tell you, my drive when I was 13, huge! All I could think about was guys and wanting to be with them and discovering my sexuality. And really, it was not... I think a lot of the violence that happens and a lot of the negativity that happens with humanity and the hostility and the miscommunication actually have to do with us not really having the right information, because I had nobody around me when I was 13 really talking about that sex drive and what was going on with me as a young woman and what was really happening. I actually was taught that it was ugly to masturbate, wrong to have these feelings. It was sinful, you're a bad person. And what happens when those kinds of pieces of information come, and it's really a very positive thing for the human being to actually experience that sexual drive, and then the negativity of having that sexual drive is pushed down. I believe that that's where all the violence comes from, because then you become aggressive. why do priests have? Wait a second. Why do priests have sex with young boys?
You make that sound. You make that point as if that's the norm. That is not the norm.
There's a lot of them
that
has happened.
No, there isn't a lot of them. That is not the norm.
What's the norm?
What is the norm?
The norm is for priests not to have sex with young boys.
And who is norm?
That is the norm.
Nobody is normal. I don't think. I think a lot of people.
Let's just talk about the predominant situation then.
Okay.
Let's not use the word normal if you're going to tag me on that one. But you're recommending promiscuity.
I'm not recommending that.
You are.
No, that's what you're recommending. No, don't put words in my mouth.
Let me finish my point. You're not recommending promiscuity. What are you recommending? You're recommending exploration of your sexuality. How do you do that except through sex?
Dan, there's many ways in the intellect to understand what's going on with the human body, about finding out how to take care of it, what's it about, what is normal for the parents to actually talk about. Oh, that's normal feelings for you to have. Oh, yes, you're having your period now, or you're menstruating now, and this is what happens. This is where babies come from, because when you are menstruating,
well, now you're talking about good parenting.
Thank you. And education and information that's going on. Not that, hey, you're having a sexual drive and you're menstruating now, and you know what? You're a bad girl if you think sexually. That's kind of the wrong information, because then it makes you feel like that's not the correct thing.
Why do you think parents do that?
Because they don't want their children to have sex, and that's their deterrent, they think. But what happens is it pushes them closer to having sex with somebody, because they're not giving them the right information.
Why don't parents want children to have sex?
Because they're afraid they're going to have babies and propagate, Dan, because in the intellect...
You think that's the only reason, is that the parents don't want to be grandparents?
No, they don't want their young to have to suffer, because it's very difficult raising a human life, and they want their young to have a life and be well, or for many reasons. It's a million reasons.
Do you think 12 and 13-year-old boys and girls, when they're physically mature, are emotionally and psychologically mature?
Not at all. That's why they need the information.
Sexuality?
I didn't say that they should have sex, Dan, when they were 13 or 14 or 15. Now, please stop putting words into my mouth about what I'm discussing with you, because that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is having the information. Having the information is really important from the people that are the closest to you, which are your parents.
So again,
and
you're talking about good parenting.
I'm talking about correct information for all of humanity, whether that comes from the parents or that we all get on a different page about what's going on with sex.
I agree with that, because the fact of the matter is, it's like, whether you're doing good parenting or not, kids are having sex.
Kids are having
12,
sex.
13, 14 years old, they're having sex. They're having sex, they're having babies.
And
and everybody's been trying to say, oh, no, it's not happening, it's not happening.
But
don't look over here, don't look over here. So
do we tell them not to, or do we give them condoms?
We give them
I think you better give them condoms, because they're still
doing
it anyway. If you don't give them condoms, you don't give them the information, they're becoming stuck on stupid with about 250,000 kids coming up here every damn week. We look around because we're not giving them information. They are having sex. Okay, let's face it, they are having sex. Okay, 13, 14 years old. Every time I look on a Ricky Lake show or something like that, somebody got a baby.
Look at them, man.
That kind of a thing. So
look what's going on.
Pretend that is not
look at all the talk shows. They're all there.
And I think, parents can do it. You got a different kind of parents that'll come. I mean, different kind of parents nowadays. And then when I was coming up, I was lucky. I had both of my parents in the home. You got a lot of single parents now. Even if you got two parents in the home, you got both parents that are working now.
Yeah.
So they don't have a lot of information. They got, you know what I mean?
You got adults with sexual hang-ups, and you want them to be honest and open with their kids.
Well, let's go back to what you said a few minutes ago when you were talking about this 13 to 40-year-olds of maturity, or you reach the maturity after 40 is what you said? Am I correct?
It's not hard and fast.
That's what you said a few minutes ago. Is that what the man said?
It was a joke.
Okay. Oh, it's a joke.
Yeah.
But I
it was a joke.
Okay, good, because I missed the punchline. I'm just trying to get there.
The point remains that in maturity, sex becomes less important.
In maturity.
And you look for things more like meaning.
In maturity, after 40,
community.
You're saying after
Wait a minute, are you telling me after 40 years old you don't want to get your groove on? You telling me that?
I'm saying,
I'm 75. I'm going to be doing mine. If I'm up there on a walker, I'm going to be like, get it on, baby. You know what I mean?
I'm not saying it's still not a major motivating force. I'm saying that it no longer drives all behavior. Okay. If I accept your premise that sex motivates all behavior, I will accept that in an immature human.
Okay.
But after maturity,
that's a whole lot of immature folks. Right
that's
now.
a whole lot. There's a whole lot of immature folks.
There's a whole lot of. They still might be immature, so be careful.
Because if it ain't that important, how come? Who's that? The boy tried to run for president?
I ain't saying.
He up there with his stiff arm, got that dinosaur arm, and then he's up there talking about, I take Viagra. You know what I mean? That kind of thing.
Pill.
Come on.
People are starving all over the world. $10 a pill, so I can still get it up. I mean, it's outrageous.
Well, that's why
the military, the American military.
You having a problem? I tell you, you having a problem.
My point exactly. You've just made my point. Yes, it's about the sex drive, isn't it?
So you think that you're saying that all behavior is motivated by the sex drive?
I think it's better.
And I disagree.
I think testosterone's got a lot to do with it.
I do a lot of things in my life, in my behavior, that is not motivated by sex. You're telling me that you don't?
I actually.
When's the last time y'all had sex? I want to get to that question right now. And do you want to have it today? Because we're going to arrange it. Y'all want to take care of Dan, put your number back up. Call Dan. He needs to get hooked up. My man is pent up. I don't know, Cass. She's been my friend for a long time. You okay?
Oh, my God. You can never have enough sex.
Okay. That's right. That's what I'm saying. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm relaxed, because you know what I'm saying?
You've been having sex, so you're relaxed. You're good.
Yeah, I'm good to do for another one right now, but it's cool. Yeah.
As soon as you're done,
it's all right.
You'll make yourself happy.
Well, I disagree, because you can have enough sex. Sometimes you got to eat. Sometimes you got to sleep.
In between.
When you go to the kitchen and you make a sandwich and you come on back.
There you go. Exactly. And let me just answer you that actually, yes, everything I do in life has been a motivating factor for me to get married, that's hook up with a man and be married and have children and have his offspring. That has been my motivating factor since I was 5 years old. That has been a drive that's been with me. That has been in my consciousness. And,
Is that why you mentor troubled children? Because of sex? Is that why you work every day? Is that why you provide a service to customers every day of your life? Because of sex? That is my point.
Yeah. Well, want me to answer you?
Sure.
Okay. Well, yes. You know why? Because when you propagate and you are a mother and you are a nurturer, that's part of that propagation and that driving sex force that happens to connect with young women that may have been at the stage where I was at when I was 13 or 16, not people communicating to them properly, not giving them the right information, like saying, they're saying to me, like I have young girls saying to me, at 14, I am so horny. I just wanted, prostitute is a really great job.
Oh my God.
I mean, these are because their parents, my parents never talked to me about anything. No, I can't even talk about it. They don't know anything. I'm not allowed to discuss it with them. And so I chat with them, I say, no, a prostitute is not a good job. And it sounds like that sounds great because your hormones are going and you're raging and, that's where your body is preparing you to be a mother later. But you have to understand what your hormones are going through now so you don't think and take the wrong direction and the wrong path. So let me answer. Let me finish, please. So if they're on that path and that's what they think, that's what happens. That's why there's young girls on the street becoming prostitutes and thinking that that's a way of life because they're going to get their sexual drive met. But when I get a chance to chat with them, I hopefully turn their minds and plant a new seed and say, no, that's healthy. That's what's going on. No, that's not the right thing to do because this is what happens to a prostitute. They get beat up. People don't care about them. They abuse you. You're trash to them. You're nothing. And you will feel empty inside because that does not fill your soul. Love will fill your soul.
You get that in relationships as well.
And you also build a friendship with somebody. That's the person that you want to have your sexual relationship when it's right. Talking about being with a partner and finding somebody that's going to be a friend to you in life, that's going to be able to mesh with you in those ways. That's why, yes.
You're proving my point because you're saying that the desire to be with someone is larger than just sex. If it was just sex, you'd be getting it all the time.
But Dan, the sex
it's
drive.
Not just sex.
But the sex drive has to do with. The sex drive has to do with that. So maybe I'm just using not a very good word because you're a linguist.
When you first meet somebody, though, aren't you sexually attracted to them? I mean, you coming up to somebody, say for instance, you was coming in, yes, you
not
are.
Anymore.
Quit lying. Dan, quit. Come on.
Look,
come on, Dan. Dan.
You gonna let me tell you or not?
Dan,
you gonna let me tell you or
you
not?
are tripping with no luggage. You can't tell me that you come up in here.
Whoa!
You can't even see it.
Time out.
No.
Okay.
Wait one sec.
You give me the shit. You come up to a woman and you go like.
I can see a beautiful woman and not want to sleep with her. Can you imagine that?
Yes, I can. I didn't say you have to sleep with her, but I can't say you're not sexually attracted to her, though.
You're turning the sex drive thing into, when I say sex drive, you're turning it into something that's, oh, I just want to fuck her. Oh, excuse me, I guess I shouldn't say that.
You know something, I think that's the difference.
I mean, I'm sorry, but that's
Kassi,
that's the
I'm not
difference
turning it into that.
between maturity and immaturity. I think a lot of times women will go into a sexual relationship really wanting closeness, really wanting to connect to somebody, whereas a guy often will get into a sexual relationship because he just wants to get it on.
But
there's women like that too, though. Now
that is very
there's
true.
women like that too. I got good friends of mine that are females, and they'll tell me, they'll flip the script on you. They'll go like, "Hey, I just want to get on,
but
and
you
then go back home."
know. You never.
You know
they
what I
could
mean?
be
That
lying.
kind of a thing.
They could be lying.
But then it's also too. I mean, you guys help me out with this, because this might open up a new ball of wax. A lot of guys can do that.
Can do what?
Can have the sex and then step off. They can just leave. And then the women will go, well, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Women.
My person has been invaded here, blah, blah, blah. And they might even come at you and say, well, it doesn't matter in the beginning. This has happened to me before. I'm just talking to a person that's like, we just want to have like a little sexual relationship. Whenever we get together, we get together. And before you know it, they're like, damn, they're down there on Ricky Lake with your story going, well, he was supposed to call me back. And he was going to take me to Denny's. And I ain't heard from him in 3 days. You know what I'm saying? That kind of a thing. So it's like, help me with that.
This is my opinion, but you tell me what you think, Vivian, after I say this. That I really thought men and women were the same most of my life until about 10 years ago, when I was fortunate for somebody to tell me that actually men think totally different. Men are not as attached emotionally to their sexuality, and women are. So I'm a woman, so being in this body, I thought everybody was really emotionally attached to their sexuality. So you act like sex is outside of us, but sex for women, when I say sex drive, it's everything's attached to it. The whole propagation, the whole lifespan of my existence is attached to that. But sex has to do with your emotions for a female, and I'm not going to have sex with somebody that I don't have feelings for. It just doesn't work for me. What do you think?
I don't think that every man. Of course, I can't speak for every man. I'm not a man. But
I am a man, and I can't speak for every man.
Well, there you
go. I can only speak for me.
Yeah, exactly. So Vivian, speak for a
But
second.
I think there are a lot of men who have come to the conclusion, who have been around a little bit. Once you've been in a couple of bad relationships where you really cared about a person, you find out that they're the kind of person who would just say, "Okay, this was fun. Goodbye. I'm going off with so and so." After a while, you say, "Hey, this really, really hurts. I'm going to, maybe I'm going to be a little more real, and I'm going to be a little more honest with this person, and I'm not going to lie to them and say, oh, I love you. Never mind." We've all been there. Right. So, I certainly know my husband, for one, who is just a wonderfully emotionally complete man, who is not that kind of, let's get it on, goodbye. So
his emotions are attached to his sexuality then too. When you're, because I'm not separating the two, but that's how it feels for you, though, right? I mean, that's why you're married to him, and that's why you're friends and have a good relationship, because you have that emotional connection and that trust and that caring for each other. That's beyond just the maybe sex part that maybe you're misunderstanding in the language that I'm using when I say sex drive. Should I call it something better?
No. I think the problem is we're trying to speak in generalities. And there are shades, and everybody's a little bit different, I think. Such as Dan.
Because he doesn't get sexually attracted in front of a beautiful woman. And I think you're lying about that, by the way.
That just goes to show how little you know about me.
I do know very little about you, and you're my brother, and goes to show you can know somebody for a really long time and still not
really
totally.
Not know their core.
It's true.
I am not separated either. I mean, if I'm going to share sex with someone, it's going to be someone I'm intimate and emotional with. Can you imagine that, Rico?
I can.
Oh, yeah, I can.
Not for him. You can't imagine it for him, but for you he can.
And I don't call that the sex drive. I don't call that the urge to propagate. Because the urge to propagate has nothing to do with sex. It has to do with mothering. It has to do with raising children.
Can I ask
you a question?
What about fathering? If you don't have sex, how are you going to have children?
Yeah, because the stork is gone.
That's why
stork is a lie.
Okay.
And really, I say that people
so
should
powerful in us. That's why the urge is so powerful in us, because it propagates the species.
Yes,
it promotes the species.
That's the sex drive that I'm talking about that encompasses everything. That is a manifestation physically, Dan. The actual part of intercourse is the manifestation of what I'm talking about, what the sex drive is. And maybe I should call it something else. I wish I had a better word for it.
I have a question.
Yeah.
You know, do you think that the fact that people are immature somehow primally was connected to propagation? You know, maybe that we were created not quite so
mature, so we could propagate?
so that it was like, okay, we're all fired up, we're ready to go, and we're going to have babies.
I think the issue of emotional and psychological maturity is irrelevant to the survival of the species.
Really?
Yeah, it's completely irrelevant.
Okay.
We have the instinct for sex. Women have the instinct to mother. Men have the instinct to conquer. We all are hungry. We all are thirsty. We all need sleep. We all need security and safety. We need a roof over our heads.
Mm-hmm. We need good nutrition, too.
No, we don't. We can hit 13, 14 years old and have children. And that's all we got to do. Is once we have children and get them to the point where they're independent.
Able to have children.
Once we get to the point where they're independent, which in the real world is about 6. Okay. You know, we live in America, and we're blessed. We're what's the word I'm looking for here?
Blessed was cool.
Blessed is good.
We're
Very
blessed,
good.
and we have a wonderful country. We have a great life. It's easy for us in this country.
Let me flip the script on that, because I think, you know, a lot of this, as far as sex, a lot of these emotions that we're talking about that go with sex, a lot of them are learned emotions.
Absolutely.
Because if we want to go back
about
to
sex,
yeah,
learned emotions about sex. That's what I'm talking about.
Is
where the violence actually stems from, and all the deviations.
I'm not going to that street right now. But what I'm saying is that a lot of these things, like the love thing and the caring and the this and the that and all these things, we see all these Cam-A commercials and these, you know, sweep me up off my feet with the what's the commercial with the lady you never see? She has like the she gets the diamond necklace, and you show it's only the shadows and the silhouette. Yeah, right.
It's De Beers diamond.
Yeah, De Beers. There it is. That kind of like, oh, and it's this, and and he's gonna sweep it. These are things that are learned.
We have a euphemism for sex to make love.
Right.
Sex really has nothing to do with
when
love.
it started out back in the day, it was like boom, boom, you got together. It was for this. It was for making kids, and that was it. You know
and
and the prosperity of the family. I mean,
until very recently, women were property.
Yeah, and all these things you learned.
Part of the property.
Yeah, that's it. Exactly.
And to pass on to the family the same property and the bloodline and about money and economics. That was the reason
women
why marriage
had no rights to enjoy sex.
Thank goodness.
Thank goodness we live in the 20th century, the late 20th century.
And what I'm saying to you is, in this part of our time, in our life, we need to start being honest with everybody, the parents that are messed up about the miscommunication about what's really going on, the young children, so we can all get on the same page about, hey, we need to start talking to each other about what's really going on with our human bodies and our human anatomy and our drives, so we can, you know, help heal rather than continue creating more problems.
You're sexually mature, you're able to have children. You're
immature.
Emotionally, you're still a child.
That's right, and you
it's
need
children having children.
So what's a parent to do? How can a parent who's busy, who's got his or her own life going, how can he or she help guide this child?
I have an answer.
In the culture that we live in?
I have an answer. Do you? Go ahead.
No, that I was adding to the question. In the culture that we live in, how can an adult raise a healthy child?
I really think just being honest with who you are as a person and really telling them what maybe your experiences were when you were young, because everybody was young once.
Wouldn't that have freaked you out if your parents had done that?
No.
That would really have freaked me out when I was 10.
No, not for me, because I was going through so much. I'm not saying 10, because when I was 12...
Because my parents were freaks. I don't know about yours.
Whoa.
Y'all some of you as brothers.
My parents were had a lot of dysfunctional problems, and we grew up in a divorced family, and they didn't really speak to us. They weren't honest with us. I had a lot of lies that surround us. So I'm telling you on my side, because I grew up with that, that's why I mentor Dan, because I'm trying my best to be honest with the kids that are going to have to deal with it anyway, because I had to deal with it in my real life. I went to school when I was 13. You know, and I dealt with the sexuality thing between the men and the women. And I fell in love, and I got my heart broke, and guys tried to get down my pants and get up my top and all that stuff. And if I didn't do it, I was chicken cruise or, you know, whatever. But I didn't have somebody to discuss it with, so I was on my own figuring it out. I would have been blessed to have somebody, my friend, who had been my parent, who had been a friend to me about how to be a human being.
So again, you're talking
this.
about good parenting.
Or
you're not
another
talking
good
about the
friend
issue of
that
sex. You're talking about good parenting.
Well, you know, it's about information and being honest with each other about really what the truth is.
So you had none of that information you was growing up?
No, not at all. I got it when
How
I was
old were you
26.
when you lost your virginity?
What time is it now?
We just got a few minutes, just so you know, everybody. So we have to do our wrap-up points.
It's a complicated subject, and we live in a complicated culture, and it's dominated by Christianity. And Christians are uptight about their primal urges.
That's right, and it's created deviation and violence.
And they're hypocritical, too.
And
I know they want to call. I know they're
going
to call on this one, but they're
let's
hypocritical.
stop lying to each other. That's the problem.
That's why, who said it earlier? You got them priests. Who said it earlier?
Respect.
Respect
the thing,
for each other,
the thing that I
tolerance,
find
compassion.
so absolutely frustrating is seeing parents having children and not spending time with them and not getting to the point where they really know what their kids are
doing,
what their kids are up to.
Because
you take
they have
these
their own
kids
lives.
and
They're unprepared for their children. That's
yes,
why.
that's true. And they put them on a shelf or they give them to the nanny and they say, goodbye, I've got my career, I've got to make money. And
then money
these are
becomes
legitimate things.
You could easily have had children at 19, and you wouldn't have been prepared. Do you have children, Vivian?
No, unfortunately.
But yes, I could have. I could have had him when I was 15.
Yeah. And you would have been totally
Did I
unprepared.
say something?
You would have been totally unprepared, and you would have raised fucked up children.
You're right.
Right.
So now what do we do?
We get puppies.
And kittens.
Puppies.
You wrap yourself. You have any? Yeah, puppies. Rico, puppies, everybody.
I just want 2 dogs. That's all I want. That's all I want. 2 Akitas.
Do you have a wrap up of what you think?
This is not something we can
Ever wrap up.
Ever wrap up. You know what I mean? I think is what everybody's been unwrapping. That's what's been getting them in trouble. But anyway, no. I mean, this is something that's going to be ongoing for a little while. I mean, you can't wrap up this subject in one night or one show. But you know, there's a lot of information that came out, and no pun intended. You know.
Whoa! It even took me a second. Okay.
Anyway,
okay. 2, 3, 4.
Should I take over on that one?
Yes, please take over on that one.
Thank you, Rico. And what
Back
I
to
want to say
puppies.
here, my wrap up is really, I just really think that we should start being honest about what's going on. Remember when you were a kid? Let's just start being truthful with each other about what's really going on with our bodies and stop putting negativity on what's natural for us and the most loving fashion. And sorry we didn't have any callers, but have a great night, and we hope to see you again.
Bye.